Hi, Nicole here, and I'm back with the fifth and final layout for the May 2013 Super Sketch Club kit, which is from Scrapbook Generation. And right here I've got everything laid out that I had pulled to sort of add to the layout. I pulled some Stampin' Up! Markers and ink pad, two stamp sets from Allie Edwards by Technique Tuesday, and these are the photos that I printed out off of their blog, and it just shows the two different options for each of the sketch days that they do in their store. And I am following the one that was on the bottom, which is the Debbie Sanders version. Debbie does a sketch and Allison does a sketch, and when you get your kit, you can pick between the two sketches, or you have the option of going online and adding additional paper to your kit, so you could potentially make 6 to 7 layouts instead of 5 layouts for your kit. It just depends on if you do the add-on for both sketch days or not. So right now I am just trimming down my papers, following the cutting guides from the sketch, which I won't show the sketch on camera. That's just part of what comes in the kit. It's part of your subscription, is you're getting these really detailed sketches with the instructions. The photos that I have right there are from their blog. I just copy and paste them into a Word document, and I do put both options on there in case I change my mind once I get the kit and stuff and I get my photos picked out. So right now I'm just inking the edges of all the pattern papers with some Chestnut Roan chalk ink, which is my go-to color. And I've already pulled my photos. I knew as soon as I saw the layout, Allison's version had used the die cut about live life dancing in the rain or something like that, and I had decided that I was going to use that journaling card and just kind of switch it out on Debbie's option, and you'll see a little bit later when I go through and cut up those die cuts. So right now I'm just lining up my photos and trying to get them as straight as I can. I did pull up that strip because I decided to have the pattern paper over the photos so that you couldn't see the edge of the photos, just in case they weren't straight or they weren't lined up. And typically the two layouts from Sketch Day 1 and Sketch Day 2 go together a little bit quicker than the Super Savers, just because there's less paper to cut down. Most of the embellishments are just paper that you're fussy cutting. There's not like stickers and different things like that kind of take up a little bit more time. And you can always follow it exactly to a T, or I like to change mine up a little bit, either the photo arrangements or I'll add stamping or a couple extra embellishments from my stash. You can usually find something that matches pretty well. So right now I'm just making sure that the photo on the right page lines up on the left. I'm going to use that piece of pattern paper that I cut into a banner to use it as a straight edge to get my two photos lined up. And then again, I'm going to use those little paper strips to cover up the edges of the photos. And this is when I noticed that the stripes actually went a certain direction and I needed to switch the top and the bottom around. And here you can see that piece of pattern paper wasn't 12 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim the entire layout down so that all the papers are flush to the edge. And I'll cover up the edge with the ink. And then now I'm going to go ahead and cut apart these die cuts, and I'm going to cut out the Live Life Dancing in the Rain one first, because I know for sure that that's what I want for my title piece. And then I'm going to use the photos from the blog to go through and cut out the other ones that Debbie had used. And then there's some little like paper strips and banners that they had used that are actually the patterns that make those frames on the die cuts. So a lot of times these kits will come, they'll have like notations on there about cutting certain, maybe like the branding strip or certain elements. So I tend to try to read through the instructions a couple times just so that I know, and I don't throw away anything until I'm completely done, so that I don't have to go digging through the trash looking for a branding strip. So now I'm just inking the edges of everything. The title piece I rounded the corners, and that little date was fussy cut out of one of the cards. And I'm going to pop up the title piece with some foam tape. And at that point, that was when I realized that I was missing a strip of paper, so I needed to go back and trim it down. And while I was trimming it down, I noticed that white or cream color stripe would look good with like text type of stamping on it. So I immediately thought of there's a like travel themed Allie Edwards stamp that I pulled, and there's a phrase in there that has different words, and it's like wander, gallivant, stuff like that. I use it all the time, and so I ended up pulling that one off, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp it on those white sections of the stripe. And this was when I was going and pulling that set. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it down the white stripes and kind of have different words being in the center so that you can see all the different words. And I should have cleaned my mat, but I didn't, and those words ended up on my little date thing, and oh well, what are you gonna do? So now I've pulled that date set, and I'm just pulling off all the different numbers that I need. And the green that matched this paper, I didn't have an ink pad, so I had the marker version of that color, and I grabbed a scratch piece of paper to make sure that the marker was going to end up working out with these clear stamps. Sometimes they're really blotchy and sometimes they're okay. This one must have been a newer run of the marker, so it wasn't as bad. And at this point, I think I actually changed the color, that marker that I had. It was just too dark, so I ended up getting a lighter green that, looking at the label, didn't look like it matched, but once I started stamping it, it dried darker. So I ended up using it, and I think I want to say it's Lucky Limeade. And then on this little 2x3 journaling card, I'm going to stamp the Life is Good, which is from a separate set. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's a kid-themed one. And I used that same green. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and put all those papers down that go on that big banner piece. In this layout, I didn't end up doing any journaling because it was pretty self-explanatory. It was raining, my son was running up and down the sidewalk, and it happened on that date. Like, I just didn't see the point in bothering with journaling. It's something, it very rarely rains where I live, and when it does, it's one of those things where it's like, hurry up, go outside, run in the rain, because in 10 minutes it's going to be gone. So right now I am going back to that die cut paper and cutting out some of those strips off the back, and this is when I am looking at the color example to try to figure out where they've got the different pieces coming from. Some of it came from the frames around the die cuts, some of it was the back of the pattern paper, those little chevrons right there. So I'm just going through and trying to figure out where they got different things. Originally I had pulled those branding strips back because I thought that was where they got them from, but I figured out where they were from. So right now I'm just going ahead and laying those last few pieces down. And you can see how quickly and easy these kits are. And I will post a link in the information below back to their store so you can see the information on the subscription for this kit, and there's both pages. Thanks for watching. Oh, that little camera is just fuzzy cut from one of the die cuts, and I was trying to figure out where to put it. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series.